Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of the Mortgage Message Show. My name is Joe LaGiglia, and on today's episode, we'll be highlighting Tracy Cox from Baird Plainfield, talking about who's selling this spring. Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Mortgage Message Show. My name is Joe LaGiglia, and I'm joined today with my guest, Tracy Cox of Baird in Plainfield, talking about who's selling this spring. Tracy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Joe, for having me.
Absolutely. So I'm so excited to introduce you to my audience. We've been able to work together for a few years.
Yes.
And very excited to just bring so much of your story to the forefront. And I think that's where I want to get started with the interview. If you can, just kind of lead into your background of getting into real estate, but really kind of the journey that you took to get there with all the different parts of this business you've been a part of.
Okay. So overall, I've been in real estate for 30 years. I can't believe that.
It's awesome.
It started off with me, I went to paralegal school. And as I was starting to apply for jobs at law offices, I ended up with a law firm in Downers Grove that taught me how to close. So I was a real estate paralegal. It was paralegal specializing in real estate, which got me in the door. And then they taught me how to close. So I was part of the middle of the transaction, as well as the end of the transaction on refinances, as well as purchases. So that was super fun. When the market slowed down, I then went to, I should back up. I then was recruited to a title company, one of the main players, and they recruited me out of the law firm, and then I did the closings. So then I was, back in the refi days, I was doing closings for refis as well as purchases. When that business slowed down, I then went into commercial real estate by being a paralegal at McDonald's Corporation out of Oak Brook, which was a fabulous experience. It was wonderful. I was a contractor for them, got hired on full time, and learned all about commercial real estate and commercial legal clearance.
Wow.
From there, when McDonald's had a mass layoff in 2015, January, I thought I'd retire at that job. I then decided, okay, do I want to go back to the law firm? Do I want to go back to title? Had all these years of experience. And it was suggested to me with my customer service and my personality, as well as all this experience that I had gathered by being a paralegal and a closer, that I do the front end of the deal, which would be selling real estate. And so it has really been quite a blessing to have all that experience for both my clients and myself.
I'm just completely blown away. I think so much of that story I'm actually learning just now. And what's neat about that is certainly I had a very comparable journey as far as dabbling in all different types of parts of this business before I landed on the retail origination side.
Yes.
But just give me a little bit more context as far as how all of those different roles, because I've seen it in practice in your business, of how all of those different roles has empowered you to be that much more stronger as a real estate agent to your clients.
Well, a lot of things. So let's go with the customer service part of it. When I meet my customers, I am so excited at this new journey. They're going to take this new chapter in their lives. Now, it could be sad, of course. It could be happy reasons. There's all different ways. But I can tune into that, which has been, a real good strength for me. And my, empathetic side can go through that. Because obviously selling your home is a huge emotional experience. Again, whether it's positive or negative. So the customer service part has played into that, and just wearing my heart on my sleeve. I just feel for my clients. So it's their money, it's their home, it's their life, but I want to get them what they need. Yeah. So that's been great with the customer service. Now, of course, doing closings, being the real estate paralegal, I had the legal part of it down. So I'm very familiar with surveys and where your property lies and if the fence is on the neighbors. And even though that's not my job in the real estate transaction, I can foresee potential problems or solutions as we go through it, or at least if the attorney brings it up to my client, it's not something that we caught, I can explain it to them because I did the paralegal part. And then, of course, leading up or after, we've bought the home or sold the home and we've gotten through the appraisal and the home inspection, I can then kind of hold their hand, really do hold their hand through the rest of the process. I'm not the realtor that says, okay, my job's done. I've done my job. Now you're the attorneys or you're the loan officers. I'm still there. I tell them you're going to hear less from me during this time period, but I'm still there. I'm monitoring emails. I'm here for questions. And then they can call me and I don't have to say, I don't know.
Right.
I can tell them what's going on or what to expect.
That's really good. And I just want to say, again, having worked with you on multiple contracts, that's exactly what your buyers and sellers get. What's really, to me, that stands out the most of everything you shared, because certainly the knowledge and know-how behind it is so significant. But I think the emotional IQ that you spoke of, especially, and you said it best when you said selling your home is emotional.
Yes.
I think that, to me, is such a differentiator in the marketplace, and certainly you've had that with so much of your own experience, and I really think I wanted to highlight that again. And since we're on the subject, I think just from your perspective, being very active in this marketplace, give me a little bit of an idea, just off the cuff, of who is looking to sell this spring. What type of sellers are you think are coming to the marketplace this spring?
We have so many different aspects. So obviously the obvious of people that have leases that are ending, or unfortunately divorces or deaths. Those are always going to be part of the marketplace. But we have buyers and sellers out there that are looking to get the best, more house for the money is, I guess, probably the umbrella it falls under. So anyone that has been home during this pandemic has decided that they need a little bit more elbow room, right?
Yes.
We need an office. We need a basement. We need different places for the kids to study, et cetera, et cetera. So I think that we are going to find people, and it's the majority of them, that are they've been home a little too long. So now it's time. Now they're ready to go out there and start looking for something better, different, whatever the case might be. So a big seller pool, potential seller pool out there. And then, of course, buyers that need to buy those homes as well.
I think it's such a great point you bring up, to be able to just recognize that people, and we were talking about this before we went live on the interview, is just people are realizing, of being in their homes this past year, maybe we want something different.
Absolutely.
And that can be a million different needs. And I want to segue that point to just kind of speak about from your perspective, and you've done a good job of outlining it, but just to go a little bit deeper, when a seller is working with you, and a buyer for that matter as well, but speaking to sellers, what is that Tracy Cox special service that you provide? What's that extra that you provide that you can kind of speak to that may be a little bit different than the rest of the market?
Absolutely. I like to, I really have my finger on the pulse. And I think that comes from, again, that empathetic side of me that really, it's more than a paycheck for me. It's putting myself in their shoes, asking what their needs are, sensing what their needs are, sensing their emotions, whatever that case might be. I've just been very good at being able to tune into that. As well as that, I am a full-time realtor. I'm not a part-time realtor. So that means I can give 150% of myself to my clients. It had always been taught to us, and we hear it through continuing education, don't be available 24/7. Have a private life. So what I've done with that is I tell my clients, whenever you need me, text me, call me, email me, get it off your plate, get it onto mine. If I'm sleeping or busy, you are not going to bother me. But I know that feeling like I got to talk to somebody about this. I got to get it off my plate. So I bring that to the game. It's not just a 9 to 5, Monday through Friday, or I'm trying to balance 1 or 2 other jobs along with selling real estate. I do this. And I felt like I had the choice, obviously we all do, to do it any way I wanted to. I did not feel like I could give my clients the service that they deserved unless I was doing this full time. Yeah. So that's a huge part of it. And then in addition to that, of course, tuning into what their needs are. As I interview my clients, as much as they're interviewing me at the beginning, I get all that information. What are your needs? What are you looking for? So I can make this a easier process for them, or hopefully less stressful, by tuning into why are you selling? What's your timeline? Things like that. The very important questions, as well as how do you want to communicate? What's your way of communicating? Do you prefer that I email you, that I text you? I'll tell them I'll do all of the above. If you want a quick response, text me. But as I talked to you about before, or with Nicole, is that everyone has a different way, depending on their age, how they like to communicate. So I feel like I'm tuned into all of that, and that has worked great for me. As well as, if I may toot my own horn for a minute, I have a hard time doing that. But it's what I think people find in working with me, because I'll always expect they'll want to maybe interview a few different agents, a lot of times I'll get like, no, like, I feel like I know you already. I feel like, like, yeah, no, you're fine. Like, let's just work together. And we haven't even necessarily met. It might just be a phone call. So I think I just can have that knack of cluing in to what my clients say. And then in addition, I let them know, you know what, if I'm doing something wrong or you want me to do something different, tell me. We're a team. It's not the Tracy show. It is, you're selling your home. Let's get you the most amount of money for your property. And we're going to do this together. I'm going to do the grunt work, but we're going to do this together. And I look at it as a team, that they are part of the team.
So great. I love how you put in context about, from the communication standpoint, get it off your plate, send it to me. I may not respond to you right away. If it's at midnight, I'll get back to you, but at least you got it out of your head. I love that point. And I also love just the context of the communication, realizing that different demographics communicate completely different. I can't share in that sentiment enough in my business. It's the same exact way. Some like Facebook Messenger, some like text, and some say, you better call me on that phone.
Absolutely.
And I love that. And I think, just in observation of the moment, I think, Trace, one of the things that to the seller that's interviewing you that immediately says, Tracy, I want to work with you, you're a light in the room. I think that I can understand why people feel that way, because from the moment we met at Panera that day.
Yes, I remember.
I'll never forget. And we were interviewing each other as lender and real estate agent. It's how I felt walking away. It's just this woman really cares. She's going to care about my client. She's going to care about her business. Yeah.
Thank you. I'm glad that comes through. That's important.
100%. And to your point, for that moment in time, that season of life, that seller, that's what they need. They need that in their life, and buyer for that matter. And I think we've answered it in so many ways, but I just want to hear a little bit of context from you. Being named Rookie of the Year at Baird and Warner, and shout out to our dear friend Steve Engel. We love him.
Yay, Steve!
Shout out to Steve. But being named Rookie of the Year at Baird and Warner, and of course Rising Star at Three Rivers. Kind of just speak to that accomplishment as far as what, from your perspective, such an amazing feat. What got you there?
Thank you so much for that. Was quite an honor at times too. Three things that stand out. One was I found my mentors, and this is a new career for me, right? Still the mortgage industry, but new position. So I was like, how am I going to knock this out of the park? So I found my mentors, the people at the office that I clicked with, that had the experience, that were killing it in their job, and picked and chose what I wanted to possibly try in my business. So that was number one. Number two, I threw myself, because as a new real estate agent at that time, just coming into that part of the business, I was like, well, how do I do this? How do I make myself be the expert in the field? So I did every single class I could get my hands on at Three Rivers, which offers amazing continuing education. That's what I think a lot of people don't realize, is that we have a license. Like, there was a huge test. We had to go through school so many hours, and then we have continuing education. So we're not just women and men that stick a sign in the ground. We have an education behind us. I chose to just blast that. And so I have all sorts of little initials after my name now: real estate negotiation expert and buyer's representative. But I just threw myself into those classes so I could become the expert in the field. And I have. And I learn every single day in my job, which I love, because I don't ever want to be complacent. I always want to learn something new. And if I don't know the answer to something, I have no problem telling my client, I don't know, but I will find out.
So good.
So education, looking at mentors, and again, just throwing myself into it. It was my number one priority to be an expert in my field.
I love it. And certainly the award just complements the business that you carry. And I really embody that as well, as far as just, you have to be a continual learner. It's the only way to keep growing.
Absolutely.
So good for you on that.
Thanks.
We're entering 2021, as we've been talking about, and I have to say it. We're still coming through this pandemic.
We are.
And I think at the same time, what's so wild is that, as we've shared, it's a very bullish sentiment on the market. It's very bullish on the home prices going up. It's very bullish on the buyer activity that's happening. But with that, there's the other side, which is the inventory issue. My question in that pretext is, moving into 2021, how is Tracy Cox going to service the sellers? What is something unique or just something foundational that you'll be moving forward this year with?
Absolutely. Well, a couple things. I'm on a huge diving board after having a fantastic 2020, which has just propelled me into 2021. I'm like, okay, because every year I set a new goal for myself. So it's, tick it up, tick it up. So what I know I can offer my sellers this year, and what I am when I'm being interviewed or when someone calls me, or even my promoting myself on Facebook and those venues, is that I can offer you a choice. You have an expert in the field that will not only just put a sign in the ground, and Baird & Warner has amazing signs, I'm sure you've seen them.
Absolutely.
Which is wonderful, but that's not it. Just putting you on the multiple listing service and out to the internet and putting a sign in the ground, anybody can do that. It is having the expert in the field that can run the numbers to know how much you should sell your home for, to know that maybe we can push the market a little bit based on what we're looking, a low inventory. If you have a house, we've been seeing them coming off the private network. I mean, going before they're even, it's crazy. And that all goes to having to learn and change and adjust as you go. In order to be successful as a real estate agent, you have to change as the market changes. You have to be willing to, can't be set in your ways. So a great sign, a great conversation about how we're going to market their property. But in addition to that, what I have always enjoyed doing, and this is a great question for sellers to ask when interviewing agents, is what else are you going to do? Because we all do some basic things.
Right.
But the other things that I am going to be offering my sellers moving into 2021, which I've offered in 2020 as well, which is the choice of I will do brokers opens to have other brokers from the area come and see a home. So in case they have a buyer or one in the future, they know what's on the market, as well as open houses. So open houses were not super popular in 2020, but because we were considered essential service by the governor, we did hold them. A lot of agents didn't want to. So I will give my clients that choice. Do you want to have an open house where people are coming through? We'll hang up the signs, we'll ask for masks. I will open up doors and drawers for them so they don't have to. And then I recommend you do a good cleaning when we leave. If you don't want to have that, then I do have someone on my payroll that I will have do a virtual tour of the home. They will go through the home. They will, like basically a buyer was walking through your home, and they'll film it, and then they put it to music. So there's a couple choices out there, and I'll do both. If they want to have both, they want to have open house and virtual, because we have buyers that don't necessarily want to come out either. So anyway, I've kind of gone along about that, but
that's great.
That is something that I'll be offering my clients as well. Again, their participation throughout the whole transaction. I can't stress enough that, yes, you hired me for my expertise, but at the end of the day, you're the boss. So I work for you, Mr. or Mrs. Seller. Yeah. So just continuing to let them know that, and making sure that they feel like they're a part of the whole transaction. Those are some things. There's probably a whole bunch more, but those, right, I think are the main things that I will offer my clients moving forward.
And I think you've touched on some major points that people right now who are watching are actually really asking those questions. So I'm so glad you did. Because certainly the virtual tour compared to open house is a big conversation, and certainly what are you going to do more than put a sign in front of my house? And I think you answered the question beautifully. And to that point, there's no doubt that someone in the audience who's watching is either wanting to take this conversation further when it comes to selling their home. Maybe there's a buyer out there as well, or just to follow up on maybe something they heard today. Tracy, what is the best way for someone to get a hold of you, or how can they connect with you?
Joe, I would be honored to take any calls or questions. I love questions. So I like to be a resource for my current clients, my past clients, and any future clients or neighbors. Hey, what's the best restaurant? Where can I get a plumber? Like whatever that is. So they can reach me by text or by calling me at 815-341-3773. Again, 24/7. Might not pick up, but you'll hear back from me. Or they could email me as well. Would you like me to give that?
Please, yeah.
It's Tracy, Tracy, Cox, COX, at BairdWarner.com, spelled BairdWarner.com.
So wonderful. Tracy, as I said earlier, you are a light into every room you walk into. Thank you for just being great for our marketplace.
Of course. I love helping people, and thank you so much for having me and showcasing that, because I do. I mean, you can I just do. It's like unpacking a present every single time and getting to know someone. So thank you so much for having me.
The pleasure's all ours. And to our audience, thank you so much for tuning in to another Mortgage Message show. We will be here with you next week to showcase another leader in our community. See you next week, everybody. Take care.